When we reviewed the OPPO Find N2 earlier this year, we were very impressed by what it was capable of. It might have been smaller than most foldables in terms of size, but it was nonetheless a great phone. But with the upgrade Samsung made to the Galaxy Z Fold 5, does the new OPPO Find N3 stack up? OPPO made some major changes to the Find N3 Fold both inside and out, and so far, we like what we see. What's up guys, Say here, and today in this video, we'll be reviewing the new OPPO Find N3. More importantly, we'll see whether it can go toe-to-toe with the all-new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. In terms of design, the OPPO Find N3 has grown in size compared to the Find N2. While OPPO made the Find N2 easier to handle with its compact size, the Find N3 is now a lot taller and wider. It's relatively big too. The front screen is as wide as my personal iPhone 12, and as a result, you get proper phone resolution without even having to open up the phone to use the main screen. But we'll talk more about that later when we get to the display. At the back, it's hard not to notice the Hasselblad branded triple camera. It's quite big, literally, and could be possibly the main attraction of the phone's rear end. The frosted glass back panel looks nice too, but I do wish OPPO made the entire back panel out of glass. If you notice, the corners aren't actually made out of glass. Instead, there are metal inserts that appear to be a part of the phone's frame, or at least the hinges. Now, personally, I'm quite divided whether I like the design of the new OPPO Find N3 because of the huge camera housing at the back. But what do you think? Moving on to something less subjective, in terms of ergonomics, I'm not too fond of it as well. Because as you can see, it's hard to hold the phone with one hand since my fingers end up touching the camera housing. But despite the larger size of the phone compared to the Find N2, I didn't have to adjust too much, well, except for having this here. So while the design might be subjective, no doubt the OPPO Find N3 feels very premium and also sturdy. It does have a good weight to it, as I expected, and it's also quite thick since it is a foldable. And yes, the camera housing doesn't really help. So if you plan to put this in your pocket, it will feel bulky. One feature I did like about the OPPO Find N3 is this tiny switch on the side of the front display. It allows you to quickly switch whether you want alert notifications and calls to be ringing loud, on vibrate, or completely on silent mode. Overall, I think OPPO made the right decision to move to a larger size. That's because you get to have a larger cover screen, which is great because you'll be using this phone 90% of the time through the cover screen. As mentioned earlier, I compared the cover screen to my personal phone, which is an iPhone 12, and it's roughly the same size. According to OPPO, it measures 6.31 inches, and that's almost as big as most phones today. As a result, it's now easier to use the phone without having to open up the main screen. Well, rather unfolding. You can see all of the apps more clearly, and the resolution is identical to that of typical curved or flat screen phones. But hey, this is a foldable after all, so chances are you will be using the main display as well. Open up the large display and you're greeted by a 7.82-inch screen, making it one of the largest of any foldable smartphone today. For comparison, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5 has a 7.6-inch main screen. Interestingly, the crease on the Find N3 isn't as visible as compared to other foldables I've tried recently. You'll only notice it when you're looking at the phone from certain angles, which are quite awkward already. But majority of the time, it's invisible. Although part of this mechanism here is quite visible, but you'll get used to it. Compared to the Find N2, which had somewhat of a squarish resolution, the display on this phone is a lot bigger, but it is quite off. So watching series on the main screen, you might find bigger black borders. Even when you're playing games, the resolution might not be perfect. Both the cover and the main screen of the OPPO Find N3 are AMOLED and come with HDR10+ colors along with a 120Hz refresh rate. That means you can enjoy playing games and watching videos on the phone whether you're using the cover screen or the main screen. As I expected, the colors and blacks are great too. The colors are pretty vivid without even having to adjust them in the settings. The sound quality from the loudspeakers are great too. They lack a bit of bass for my liking, but the mids and highs are decent. More importantly, they're loud since you do get one on each corner of the phone. In the right position, it gives you somewhat of a surround sound vibe. But not exactly, but you get the idea. Aside from playing games or watching series, you're also going to enjoy going through the photos you've taken using the OPPO Find N3. As with most OPPO flagships, the Find N3 features a triple rear camera tuned by Hasselblad. And as you would expect from the big camera housing, the camera is pretty damn good. The triple rear camera is highlighted by a 64 megapixel telephoto lens, a 48 megapixel wide, and a 48 megapixel ultra wide, making it perfect for shooting in all kinds of situations. The images came out really sharp and beautiful, something you would expect since the photos are color toned by Hasselblad. Even when using up to 6x zoom, the image comes out really sharp, although you will notice that the edges do become a bit softer. While you can zoom up to 100 times, it's not as sharp anymore at that level, but that's to be expected. Still, you can make out some of the details, which is really nice. If you do plan on shooting with 100x zoom, you do need to have either very steady hands or a tripod, since it's very shaky to shoot. What did surprise me is the capability of the camera when shooting in low light or at night. The images don't come out murky or heavily filtered, and you get some really good sharp photos as well. While it's not as sharp as compared to shooting in well-lit environments, it's more than what I could ask the camera to do. And if you do use flash, the flash isn't as harsh as you would expect too. Usually, flash overexposes the subject, but not in this case. Based on my experience, I didn't feel the need to retouch the photos in Lightroom or any other third-party app. It's great out of the box as it is, and if you like taking photos, you'll definitely enjoy using this. Just take a look at some of the images we've taken using the OPPO Find N3. Like the photos, video quality on the OPPO Find N3 is really great too, shooting at a maximum of 4K at 60 FPS. And even at 4K, there appears to be some form of image stabilization. But if you activate the super steady mode, it becomes limited to just 1080p at 60 FPS. The mic is quite decent too, with your voice being picked up loud and clear, although it does pick up ambient noises as well. Now, moving on to the front camera, you have two. There's a 32 megapixel shooter on the front cover screen and a 20 megapixel shooter for the main screen. It's perfect if you like taking group photos or selfies and more. But given how you can shoot with the main rear lens, I'd still use the rear camera. There are even filters too if you want to use that, but I personally prefer how the OPPO Find N3 processes photos out of the box. Powering the OPPO Find N3 is a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset, which is arguably one of the most powerful chipsets on the market. Our review unit comes with 16GB of RAM and 512GB of storage, although there is a 1TB option available. RAM can be virtually extended by another 12GB for a total of 28GB. There's no micro SD card slot to expand storage even further, but I feel that 512GB is decent, or at least enough, even if you will be taking lots of photos and 4K video. This phone runs on Android 13 based on ColorOS 13.2. The OPPO Find N3 worked well for day-to-day basis even if you leave several apps running in the background and multiple tabs of Chrome open. It's great for gaming too. I was able to run Honkai Star Rail with everything on high and there were no drops in frame rate. I was able to do the same with Genshin Impact and the phone could handle it well. I mainly played these two games during my time with the OPPO Find N3, but expected to handle other more graphic intensive titles without any issue. Also, what I do like is that even when you're playing for extended periods of time, the phone doesn't heat up. But to give you a better idea of how the OPPO Find N3 performs, check out how it scored using our usual benchmark tests. Lastly, we have the battery. As you would expect from most foldable smartphones, the battery on the OPPO Find N3 isn't the biggest you would find on the market. It's rated at 4,805 mAh, which is roughly the same as most foldables on the market today. Surprisingly though, it does last an entire day provided you don't spend hours on end playing games or watching videos. If you plan to game with the OPPO Find N3, you might have to go find an outlet or bring a power bank around with you just so to make sure you have juice. Using our standard video loop test, we were able to get around 12 hours and 30 minutes using the main display. Not bad considering previous foldables used to last around 10 to 11 hours using the same testing method. So you might be wondering, how much does this cost? At the time we recorded this review, the price of the OPPO Find N3 Fold had not been revealed yet since it hadn't been launched either. But we suspect it could undercut the price of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5 by a bit, if not match the price. Now, considering the OPPO Find N3 comes with a better camera and a larger display, it should give it an advantage over the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. Now, by the time this video comes out, we will have updated the description below, so you can check out how much the OPPO Find N3 Fold costs. And of course, we'll write about it on the Yuga Tech website. Unfortunately for our viewers in the Philippines, this phone won't be coming to the Philippines once more, like the OPPO Find N2. So, what do you think of the OPPO Find N3? We certainly like it, especially given the major makeover it's gotten. But would you pick it over other foldables on the market like the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video or found it informative, do hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this. You can also click that bell icon to be notified of future uploads. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and visit yugatech.com to stay updated with the latest tech news and reviews. Once again, this has been Jose, and I'll catch you guys next video.